Right, so if I go to the transform menu and I go to Euclidean, I can look at it and I can start searching for copy, but I'm not going to find copy. There's no copies up there. So I could try putting it here and seeing what happens if I say copy, right? And I don't see a copy. There's copy trim, copy planar. There's no copy, right? There's array, but we're not trying to create an array right now. But did you guys notice that you just turned off an instance of this? So Grasshopper functions on a different sort of mentality about copying things, right? It creates instances of something. So most of you probably figured out that the command we're trying to use is move, okay? And if we wanted to, we could also go up here to transform, where we would expect to find move would be somewhere in here, and there it is, move. All right, so I can drop the move thing here, and again, what I've been trying to get you guys to do, right, since the very first part of this class. Kara, I don't see your eyes. You're doing something. And you're hiding. All right, everybody look up here. Just pay attention. All right? Okay, so what I tried to get you guys to always do is to read what these things are. And you got to do that before you connect anything to it. Because once you connect something to it, it'll say like 2 inherited values, or it'll say something weird. But right now, if I go over to it, it says geometry, right? So it's like I look at that and I go, okay, geometry. But so let me ask a question. Is an XY plane geometry? No. It's not, right? Neither is a number slider. The only geometry that's up here is polygon, and polygon has been feeding into rotate, and rotate made a new version of it, right? Yep. The old version we don't want. It's rotated 45 degrees. So this is the one we want. So all right. So before we move on, let's look at the other parts. The other part is translation vector, 0, 0, 10. Now you guys have already addressed this. Remember? I'm going to show you a different way to address it right now. All right, and so it's going to give us the geometry and the transformation. So what I'm going to do is feed the geometry in, right? And for the motion, we could have used the number panel and given it a vector from the origin, but instead of doing that, we're going to use a function called unit z. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it to move in the z direction. Now it just so happens that it's already moving in the z direction, right? So if you look at the one locally defined value from the origin to 0, 0, 10, which direction is that? Straight up the z-axis. What if we wanted to move this over here to the side? Unit x, correct, or unit y, if you wanted to go the other way. So the important thing to note is that one of the ways that you can give it a direction is by using these these different units. I'm going to put the unit x right there, and then I'm going to put unit y right here. Okay, so we'll start by connecting. Let's just connect unit y in. Right, and so, all right, it moved. I don't know how far it moved, but it did something. Right, so it's shifted off its axes, probably 1 unit. I don't know how many units. Yep, 1 unit. 0, 1, 0. Right, so if you hover over it, you can see what unit y is giving it. Okay, so all right, don't want that. So let's try unit z. Oh, well, unit z is moving it, or unit x is moving in the unit direction. So that is 1, 0, 0. And then finally, if we use the unit z and plug it in, now it has moved it up 1. Okay? All right, any questions about that? So the beauty of using these is that it has an input, correct? And the input is a multiplication factor. So you can kind of control it without having to type a panel to get it to move a certain distance. Furthermore, if you want to, you can make it adjustable. So For example, we could take a number slider. I'm going to grab this one, Control Copy, Control V, move it down here, and feed it into the Z unit vector. And now I'm able to make an adjustable panel. Okay, any questions about that? But we're not quite there yet, because what I want to do is I want to create a series, right, of these panels above each other. So to do that, we're going to do something that we haven't done yet. We're going to use a component called series. Okay, so this part you might want to take notes on. So I'm going to double click and type in series. All right, so there's series. Okay. Now, where is series? So we'll hold down Control Alt and click, and you're going to see that it's under sets and it's under sequence. Sets and sequence. Okay? All right, so I'm going to take that series and I'm going to feed it into the factor for the Z, and oh, look at that. I get a bunch of different floors. Now, why is it deciding how many floors to make it and how far apart to make them? Well, because those are the standard values that are coming out of series. If I hold it over start, it starts at its origin point, the origin of the plane, the first one. If I go over step, it's basically moving it in one increment, right? 1 foot increments. And then if I go to count, it has one locally defined value of 10. Okay? Does that make sense? That's what's making the decision to do this. So what I want to do is I want to make that to where I can make some changes. All right? The start point, I don't really need to necessarily change it, but I can if I want. So let's see what that does. Okay? So I'm going to feed a number slider into start. And what you'll notice is that it moves up and down. Okay, now I'm going to disconnect it. And, oops, disconnect the damn thing. Why did it change? Well, this first one right here, this first square, right, is not the stuff that's being moved. That first square is this one, or, sorry, it's the one that's already here. All right, it's the one that existed before we made the move. Correct? If I disconnect this, there's one there. So if I say disconnect, there's already one there, right? That's the original one. And so this actually very clearly illustrates it. The move command is creating the new one. So when I reconnect this original one, see where it's at? It's still there. And all the other ones are the new ones. Okay? So all right, so if I do this, what you'll notice is that I can move the start point up and down. Okay? That's fine. The next thing is step. So that's quantity, right? Or how far, not quantity. It's a quantity of distance. So for that one, I'm going to drop another number slider in and feed it into step and then adjust it. And okay, well that's pretty good. That's adjusting way the heck up, right? Okay. So I'll drop that back down to like 7. And remember, there's an original one under that. So you see there's an original one underneath it. And then finally the count, right? The count is how many of those things you're going to end up with. All right? And so let's try feeding the number slider in. Control copy, Control V. And I can change the number count, right, from 1, so that's 1 copy, all the way up to 10. All right, any questions? All right, very good. So I'm going to move this off the screen, and from your notes, I want you guys to recreate it. I'm going to stop the video and go on because it's getting to be 10 minutes long.